Kanani Makikau, and I am the Director of External Relations here at Cal Poly, which includes parent and family programs and commencement. The winter webinar series, sponsored by the Parent Advisory Council and hosted by Parent and Family Programs, is a resource for Cal Poly parents and supporters featuring campus and community experts. In fact, we have the chair of the Parent Advisory Council with us here today. We also have the vice chair with us. Marta, would you like to introduce yourself first, please?
Nani, I would love to. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. For those of you I haven't had the privilege or opportunity to meet yet, I am Marta Harmon. I'm chair of the Parent Advisory Council. As the parent of a fourth-year senior approaching graduation, I've had a front row seat to many stages of his academic journey. And I'm currently in the home stretch, just 2 quarters away from that finish line, which still feels a little hard to believe. We are excited to welcome you to the Council's third and last Lunch and Learn of the 2025-2026 academic year. And today we're focusing on a topic that supports students both academically and personally: tutoring and learning resources for your Mustangs. Whether your student is adjusting to the pace of college coursework, tackling a particularly challenging class, or simply looking for strategies to study smarter, not harder, tutoring and learning support can play an important role. If you've ever heard from your Mustang, "This class is tougher than I expected," or "I think I could use some extra help," trust me, we've all been there. University is hard, and Cal Poly is most certainly a step above many. Today's session is designed to highlight the learning resources available, explain how students can access tutoring support, and share ways these tools can help build confidence, reinforce understanding, and support academic success at every stage. Thank you so much for being here, for grabbing lunch with us, and for continuing to support this community. Without further ado, I'd love to introduce Deanne McConnell, our co-chair, or our vice chair, sorry.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining for today's Lunch and Learn. My name is Deanne McConnell, and I am the Vice Chair of the Cal Poly Parent Advisory Council. We hope you find today's Lunch and Learn informative, and I will now pass it over to Kanani.
You're on mute, Kanani.
That's awkward. Okay. Awesome. I want to mention that you can view this recording and all previous webinar sessions by visiting the Stay Informed tab at parent.calpoly.edu. We have with us today Lydia Keema. And Lydia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lydia Keema. I work here in our Office of Writing and Learning, specifically our Tutoring and Learning Center, serving as the Supplemental Instruction Coordinator. I've worked here on campus for just over 9 years now, exclusively in the role as Supplemental Instruction Coordinator. And I also have the fun privilege of being a first-year parent. So my son is also a Mustang now. I am a Mustang parent, and so I hope that I bring in not only wearing the hat of a coordinator and supervisor here on campus that can share about our tutoring and learning resources and how every student can maximize their learning journey, but also sharing the hat as a parent, very curious about their own son's development through his learning journey and continuing to advocate for these resources, even amongst my own home.
Thanks for introducing yourself, Lydia. I think we're ready to get into the presentation.
Fantastic. Okay, everyone. Well, let's go ahead and I will share my screen now. So welcome everybody to our spotlight session for our winter webinar series on our learning support resources here at Cal Poly. Once again, my name is Lydia Keema and I oversee the supplemental instruction program as its coordinator. So moving along, before I go into a robust detail regarding our tutoring support services, I do want to share a brief explanation regarding our Office of Writing and Learning. So we are Cal Poly's hub for academic success, which includes pre-college readiness through our EAP office, first-year transitions, as well as our learning support and 4 key learning support resources that I'm going to share today, as well as writing across the curriculum. And as far as our mission, we are very set on providing accessible student-centered programs and resources that do meet the diverse needs of our Cal Poly students, close the opportunity gaps, and promote academic excellence. And we want to keep in mind that academic excellence has a number of definitions to it. Of course, the academic excellence of persevering through classes, receiving high grades and marks, but academic excellence also includes the sense of belonging, sense of self, sense of curiosity. And we want to be sure that our programs also support that continued student learning development, however that is defined by our individual students. Our various programs include our academic preparation and transitions, our learning support programs, and our graduation writing requirements. Regarding academic preparations and transitions, Cal Poly Early Academic Support is provided for students who are entering university and adjusting to college expectations. So while this isn't in the immediacy of talking about learning support and what our students navigate it and are provided here on campus, this does discuss and we do help support students with their focus and readiness in writing and math, understanding their first year placement, and connecting students to learning support resources. And that first year placement is something that does significantly matter to students with which series classes they're starting off with and just what their first year here at Cal Poly is going to look like. And ultimately, we do want to help promote that confidence, persistence, and academic success. You'll see here there is a barcode that you can scan for tools and resources about readiness, placement, and support at Cal Poly. If you do have any other questions about that, or if you happen to have a future Mustang where this information is going to be helpful and supportive. So the main reason why we're all here today, I imagine, is sharing about our learning support programs. We have 4 main learning support programs that I will cover today. That includes academic coaching, tutoring, our study sessions program, and also our supplemental workshops program. Ultimately, all of these programs are meant to help connect students, students collaborate, and ultimately students achieve. And that achievement comes into certainly through academic success by way of the grades that they're earning on exams, on projects, but also achievement through seeing the perseverance and growth that they themselves where they start is not inherently where they end, and being able to look at the progress made is definitely an achievement that we hope that many of our students recognize and celebrate. Our first program that I want to highlight is academic coaching. So our academic coaches are trained peers. They are mainly undergraduates. I can also be graduate students, but mostly undergraduate peers who help students strengthen their habits of mind, study strategies, and keeping motivated along their learning journey. We all know that Cal Poly in a 10-week quarter, as we're continuing on these last couple of months of a quarter system, but this is an adjustment for students to get used to. And we even notice as well that students have new adjustments that they have to get acquainted with, even if they are familiar with the 10-week quarter, especially with classes that in their upper division majors that may be more intense or more labs. There's always a place where students can grow and gain support from their peer leaders and peer coaches. These coaching sessions do offer a supportive space for students to reflect on what's taking place, plan for what they want to make improvements on, have a goal and time set in mind, so making SMART goals and seeing their growth through this process. And for our peer coaches, their main focus is helping our students set goals and keep motivated. This is that one-on-one time where a student and coach can talk about time management and balancing coursework. And this, again, is something that can change and does change quarter by quarter. So even for our Mustangs, if they're thinking, well, I should know this already, or I'm already a student here navigating, maybe I'm in my second, third, or even fourth year, but we know that schedules do change, responsibilities and demand change, and it's always a great opportunity to be able to lean in and gain new insights and perspectives from their peers. Coaches can also help our students with thinking about planning assignments and projects, maybe breaking down those assignments into more manageable pieces. Sometimes that can feel really overwhelming for students, and it's a great opportunity to have a second set of eyes and strategies on how to make sure that all of these important tasks are accomplished during the quarter. It's also time to really build and develop stronger study strategies and prepare for important exams coming up. Oftentimes, we notice that students are maybe frustrated with how to make sense of their class notes and make meaning of it. So organizing class notes and being able to really utilize that as a study strategy is helpful in coaching. And ultimately, even discussing how to connect with faculty and other campus resources. So if nothing else, our peer coaches can also be a stop and a hub for asking questions. If somebody's not sure which resource to go to, our coaches will not be a replacement, but help serve as a liaison to campus resources. Moving along, we also offer robust tutoring services. Our peer tutoring is actually available across all 6 colleges and cover our very heavy-hitting classes like writing, math, science, and engineering. Students can book appointments or drop in for one-on-one or small group tutoring sessions, and we do have the availability of both in-person and online. One additional exciting resource that we provide is not only tutoring that's located in our second floor Kennedy Library, but we also have tutoring that takes place around campus. And when I go through our website tour, I can show everybody where to find that information. As far as our tutors also go through a training, and not only have they taken and satisfied the class or course requirements in order to tutor, but they also have a training on how to work in a one-on-one or peer collaborative support fashion. Our tutors do help our students with clarifying course material and revising essays. They are not there to write the essay or completely work through and solve a problem on their own by showing back in a passive capacity, but really they're there to help clarify, ask active questions, ask questions for revision, and be able to have that dialogue with students. They do work through the problem sets with the students, again, by way of asking questions and looking at previous examples and models, and helping prepare students for studying for exams. During these tutoring sessions, it does help our students strengthen their study strategies that show students how to learn by also looking at what's important for them to learn and be prepared for so that they can go back to class or go into their exams feeling a lot more confident. And speaking of confidence, this is all meant to build confidence in these challenging subjects. We truly, at the end of the day, understand that Cal Poly is a challenging university. That's what draws our students to be here. And these are challenging subjects. They're challenging subjects even in a semester system, but it's a different level of challenge navigating this coursework in a 10-week system. So we're really proud to have so many of our peer employees many of whom went through and received or continue to receive tutoring, and they love giving back by providing a resource to fellow Cal Poly students and keeping that a sentiment. What they've received, they want to give back, and it's a really powerful circle and evolution to be part of. In addition to our tutoring, we also have STEM help hubs. These help hubs are learning support spaces that are also offered both in person and virtually, where we have our subject-specific tutors who are able to provide one-on-one assistance, but in a larger group room capacity. So students are able to drop in and work independently on their coursework, and they can ask for assistance as needed. When I've witnessed the Help Hub, something that really stands out to me is noticing how students might come in and start asking each other questions, or noticing that they're coming from the same class and they're able to begin an opportunity where they are engaging in peer-to-peer support. And then they have a tutor there who can help navigate around and do some clarifying, checking for understanding, and can help support if one or both of those students end up getting a little bit stuck on the material. So just like it says here, at times students in the same course may naturally connect and study together. So it's a great low stakes opportunity where you can come in individually or you can come in as a group. You may have questions from a couple of different math classes. Sometimes there are co-requisite classes that students are able to enroll in. So if a student's coming in who would like assistance on Calculus 4 and linear, they're able to come in with multiple questions, and they're able to either come in independently or they might stop by with a peer, decide to work together, and then ask questions as needed. One nice thing is that our Help Hub is drop-in only, so you don't have to worry about making an appointment. There's always room and space, and you don't have to stay for the entire time. So I recommend the Help Hub oftentimes to my son. Hey, if you're stuck on a question, or if you want just support to even start your work, heading over to the Help Hub is a great place to get locked in and start your homework. And then if you do have a question, you're already there and can get a little bit of guidance after trying out the problem on your own, seeing if you can figure it out. And if you can, instead of giving up or feeling frustrated that a lot of time has amassed, you're right there to be able to ask a question and get some clarifying guidance. Our third program that I'm going to discuss is a program here called Study Sessions. This is a collaborative space for students in STEM courses to review material together, discuss course concepts, and strengthen their understanding. This comes from a guidance from an experienced peer leader who has taken that class before. So in a study session, it's held by a peer who's taken that class before, and they're inviting in students from a particular course topic, but it does not have to be associated with that same instructor. So students from all the Calculus 1 courses are able to attend a study session and work together and be in engagement with a peer who's also taken Calculus 1 before. Our study session leaders can help students review notes and clear up some of that confusing material, dive deeper into course concepts, especially very important course concepts that provide a lot of structure for the course or are the building blocks for either that course or a series of courses ahead. And work on learning how to learn smarter with effective study strategies, instead of feeling like you have to continue to work and work and work with a never-ending study structure during your week. And just like tutoring and coaching, we have the emphasis again on building confidence and gaining these fresh perspectives and insights on course content. One of the nice things about study session and in a group collaborative space is being able to hear multiple perspectives and insights, how to think about the material, and multiple questions being asked about the material. So sometimes if a student doesn't really know that they themselves have that question, they can gain a lot of clarity on their own knowledge by which questions are asked, and they can also check for understanding on their knowledge by being able to help answer and support a peer. So while we have our peer leaders who are in that space to help navigate conversation, it really becomes a space where everybody is able to ask questions and work together and isn't exclusively leader-driven in that capacity. The last program that I will focus on is supplemental workshops. Supplemental workshops, unlike a study session, is a one-unit peer-led session that is exactly tied to a challenging math or science courses. And what I mean by exactly tied and paired with is that it's actually paired with an instructor of the course and not exclusively the course topic. So students who would attend a study session, not only would they attend a study session if they're in a Calculus 1 class, but perhaps a Calculus 1 class that is taught by Professor Rutzek or Professor Miller. And that way, students are coming from the same instructor. They're all working with a common syllabi. They know which series and sequence the material is going to be covered and when important exam dates are. Additionally, a peer leader sits in on the class as a silent observer and then holds a supplemental workshop later on in that day where they can discuss what they overheard in class, where the challenging material is, what the professor's hoping that the students focus on in preparation for exam, and navigate that time together. During these bi-weekly meetings, students practice the course concepts through guided activities and multiple other collaborative learning structures. Within our workshops, they can help practice the course concepts in an active and collaborative environment. Because students are all coming from a common ground and a common hours where they were in class, they're able to help support each other with what they overheard in lecture, what questions they have, what ideas they have, and work together more harmoniously in that group fashion. Student and leaders break down complex material into more manageable steps. That's one of the biggest pieces to learning. It's just learning how to break down the material and start to see it as a discussion instead of trying to overwhelmingly memorize everything at once. That helps students strengthen their study strategies and learning habits, and also helps them build confidence by taking risks and learning from mistakes. In this peer learning space, it really is important to take those learning risks and make mistakes. We don't learn without making mistakes and having opportunities for improvement, and that can feel very vulnerable and intimidating. But in a peer-led space with a lot of emphasis on community and collaboration, it provides a safer space to make those errors and celebrate that we're making those errors now during our learning time, and we have less of the opportunity to make those errors come exam day. Errors will happen somewhere. We want those to happen sooner rather than later. And we notice that that helps students prepare more effectively for their quizzes, labs, and exams. Our peer leaders, like I mentioned, they sit into class lecture and they create workshop material that's directly tied to what the students are working on. Our targeted subjects for these are biology, chemistry, math, physics, and statistics. This is where we see so many of our first and second year students going through their preparatory material that links to their upper division majors or course satisfaction for graduation, which is why there is that heavier STEM emphasis. With supplemental workshops, the scheduling is a little bit different, unlike the other resources that I will walk you through and show in a few minutes when we do a website tour. So one important reminder is that for students, they can either register or drop in and attend a supplemental workshop. Joining a workshop does mean joining during the university add drop deadline, and they would do so by utilizing Schedule Builder, adding the supplemental workshop that's linked to their course. These are available on our website and is also discussed for 2 students when they're in a class that is adjoined to a supplemental workshop. And students attending regularly throughout the quarter can earn a unit for this attendance. If students don't want to register or they have some time conflicts during the quarter, there is an auditing process that does not require enrollment. This allows students to attend when their schedule allows, and it will not earn a credit and is not part of their transcripts. Lastly, I do want to focus on graduation writing requirement. That is a resource that comes out of our Office of Writing and Learning as well. It's a CSU mandated program that does ensure that students graduate with the level of writing proficiency expected of college graduates. And there are 2 pathways that your Mustang can take, either earning a credit in a GWR certified upper division course or earning credit in the University 401 GWR portfolio course. And there's a lot more information that's presented on our websites. Lastly, I just want to remind everybody that our 4 main resources when it comes to learning support that we provide to students for free includes coaching, tutoring, study sessions, and supplemental workshops. You can visit us online, and we'll go through the website in just a minute, or second floor Kennedy Library, room 209. Our library is with staff. We're here 5 days per week, but we do have our resources, specifically tutoring, that's open 6 days a week to make sure that we're providing as much TLC to our students' academics. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this presentation right now and head over to our Writing and Learning website. So this is our Office of Writing and Learning. This is a fantastic resource to go to for the most up-to-date information and for students to navigate who to reach out to, how to book and schedule a tutoring appointment, how to navigate where a supplemental workshop schedule is. So I'll go through for the next couple of minutes and show you how to best navigate our website. On our Office of Writing and Learning homepage, you will immediately see book a learning support appointment. And this is really helpful because if a student is overwhelmed and they just want immediate support on booking an appointment, it's right here on the main page and they can start to navigate through there. I also want to point out that there's information for first year transitions, our learning support, which includes coaching, tutoring, study sessions, workshops, and our study strategies library, and information here for any specific writing success, including our GWR courses portfolio. So a lot more information than what today's presentation completely dives into, but again, this is where the most up-to-date information will be. For our academic coaching, again, there's some information here just to help students identify what coaches can help with and how to book a coaching session. For our tutoring, I do want to point out that we have our Help Hub information provided down below for math and stats, the location, and our ARCHI Help Hubs. As more Help Hub information gets solidified and completed, that's where a user can find information here on our website. Again, for our study sessions, you can see that you can click and reserve a study session. It shares targeted courses and gives a little bit more information. Our supplemental workshops, again, shares information, speaks about accreditation standards for the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and you can also click and learn information about how to use the workshop schedule and which workshops are available for winter quarter. We have our science workshops, which includes biology, chemistry, physics, and statistics, and then our math workshops, which this quarter we have workshops that range from Math 141, Calculus 1 through Linear Analysis, Math 244. If a student is interested in connecting with a tutor, they can click connect with a tutor, and this actually brings them to a page where they can not only book an academic coaching appointment, a tutoring appointment, but also find a study session that's available for the quarter. If a student was interested in coaching, they could go ahead and click here. And what's great is it shows the coaching for the week, this week, January 21st through 27th. Coaching does take place Monday through Thursday up until 8 p.m. and it's offered online, through virtual as well as in person, and Fridays until 4 p.m. Our center does close at 4 p.m. on Fridays. And if somebody is looking for an appointment, they would just look and see look for an appointment with a white square, which means that it's available to reserve. Gray is unavailable. Either the coach is unavailable at that time or that's already been a time booked by somebody else. So the information is here. And if there is a student who's having any concerns or frustrations and just isn't sure what to do, I always encourage you can check in, you can go to the virtual help hub, or you can come by and somebody from either our office or front desk will gladly help and support a student. Heading up to study session schedule. What's nice is that there's just some toggling opportunities up here. So if you want to book a couple of appointments, you don't have to go back and forth or have to use different tabs. It's all listed under WC Online. So if a student was also interested in a study session, they could filter by course. So if somebody was interested in Bio 150, they would click here and they could see which Bio 150 workshops are available for the remainder of this week. And the same for our tutoring. There's a lot more class availabilities for tutoring. And so a student would just go ahead and take a look there. So if they are interested in an Archie class, they would go ahead and see who's available this week to support. And ultimately, if anybody's ever confused on how to get to our website, I do recommend going to Google, and if you type in Cal Poly Slow Tutoring, it will take you right up to our Tutoring and Learning Center page. One last bit on our website that I want to share is our study strategies library. This is free and available to students at any point in time. So if your student wants to take a look through some of our websites, videos, and study strategies on how to best support, they are alphabetized. So if we click here for T, oh, excuse me, that link is broken for some reason. But we do have test anxiety, time management. So these are all general concepts and themes that we know that students have concerns or questions about. So this is a great place to go initially. And also, if your student is learning information and they want some help on how to bring this to practice more in their schedule, that's another great place to discuss during academic coaching or even during our tutoring study sessions and supplemental workshops, and just getting familiar with how to utilize these practices best in your schedule so that it feels manageable. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share right now and go into the next part of our conversation for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Lydia. One of the reasons that I enjoy doing these webinars is so much is because I get to learn things too, right? Such great information in there. I really like how the website is laid out too. It's so accessible to just book an appointment if a student needs to. I just wanted to give one quick plug for the peer coaching program. I talked with a student this morning and I was talking about her experience. She's a first-year student. And one of the things that she was talking about is being new to college and being a first generation student. So she's the first person in her family to go to college. And during fall quarter, she had to start emailing professors about certain things. And she just actually didn't know how to do that, right? And it's totally understandable. And she found support with a peer coach. And they were able to really help her through that. And now she's just jamming, So it's really good programs you're running over there. We did receive about 4 questions during this during the webinar. So we'll go ahead. I'll ask those. And let's see the first one here. Okay, my student can be a bit shy. How does the Tutoring and Learning Center support students who may be nervous or unsure about seeking academic help?
That's such a fantastic question. And we certainly realize that even our students who don't always present as shy, they can become rather shy when the discussion about tutoring and learning support. is mentioned. So I do want to uh, really positively share that our Tutoring and Learning Support Center supports all students and meets students where they're at in that immediacy, no matter their nerves or uncertainty seeking support. My first recommendation is encourage your students to even just walk by our Tutoring and Learning Center. So we're located on the second floor down a hallway. So even anybody walking down that hallway and turn into the corner to use the restroom, have a drink of water, or maybe sit and study outside of our tutoring and learning center, it just gives that first glimpse in to our resource area. And you can see all the positive interactions taking place. And again, I think for a shy student, just demystifying what that process is, you're not in a room cut off from the world. It isn't somebody standing over you or talking at you. It's nobody who is judging you. So I think just seeing the space can help melt a little bit of those worries. Then I definitely recommend going in and asking a question, even though we have a really accessibly utilized website. I know that that can sometimes be really overwhelming. So walking in and asking a question is something that our front desk assistants really enjoy. And I think, again, it's just one extra layer that melts away that fear of being in the tutoring and learning center space and normalizing asking for help and seeking support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Did I
Well,
interrupt? Lydia?
I also want to share too that it's a low pressure environment and really a low stakes environment. We're not sharing with faculty what you asked, what mistakes you made. This isn't getting documented in that regard. This is a place where you can come in, ask your questions many times, if not all the time. You're met back with a tutor saying, I had that same question, or that was one of my challenges that I was also going through. And I think that part of learning how to share and communicate is that we actually find more that is aligned than different. And so usually your tutor might say that, or they talk a little, you might even learn what inspired them to be a tutor here and when they were going through this material as well. So there's some community that's built there. So all in all, I definitely know that it can feel really intimidating to be on the shyer side and not sure how to get everything started. But at the end of the day, you are in that driver's seat in your tutoring appointment. We welcome all students with whatever questions or concerns that they might have, and you get to really be the one that talks about which concepts you want to go over, which problem types you're struggling with, or just where you want to continue to get a strong grasp of the material because you know that it's really important and you want to dive into that and be consistent.
Mm, great.
Yeah.
I was just listening to you there. I'm also interested, Lydia, in your experience. Do you find that maybe even if a student isn't struggling, right? If a student is doing well,
Mhm.
maybe it's advantageous to even go visit you all before that happens, right? To
Yes.
become familiar with the programs and be in a learning environment like the HubSpot where you have, your peers around as well.
Yes.
Do you find that?
Yes, absolutely. So one other component that I hope to help demystify in all conversations that I ever get the opportunity to be a part of is that yes, of course, our tutoring and learning center is here for students if they do find themselves really nervous about a class, or maybe it isn't a class that they feel as confident in. So that's a great opportunity to lean into that sooner rather than later. But we're also here for students who want to continue growing in a material. And if a student is by all metrics on paper look like they're doing, quote, well in a class, if they have additional curiosities, if they want to continue to practice and strengthen the material, they're absolutely welcome to book a tutoring appointment. We do not have a minimum or maximum grade threshold. We do not ask a professor what grade are they currently receiving in class and is this warranted to service or provide a tutoring appointment. I love when students just have on the regular that they build in either a recurring tutoring session or drop into help hubs because they've built this into their study strategy. And this has helped them do well. And they're doing well because they have a system of continuous work and time on the material. And they're also adding in group thought and collaboration.
Great. Thanks for that. Okay, next question we have in here is, my student is a first year with sophomore standing. How can the Tutoring and Learning Center be supporting first year students adjusting to college level academic expectations?
This is a really fantastic question to highlight because we do realize and understand that many of our students do come in as first years with sophomore standing, sometimes junior or even senior standing. And it's entirely okay if we have our first years coming in at freshman standing. They're exactly where they need to be. What we can find with students who are coming in with a bit further along standing is that they may have already, they've likely satisfied some general ed or lower division coursework, and they're coming in maybe now taking a calculus 2, calculus 3, or calculus 4. For our first years, if that is the situation, they may have even more of a learning curve adjusting to the higher demand coursework, and they don't necessarily have the adjusting to Cal Poly, adjusting to the quarter system, and adjusting to the rigor under their belts. So tutoring can really help serve as a bridge to this transition to college academics and just the practice in depth that's necessary. Our tutors are equipped, as well as our study session and supplemental instruction leaders. They're equipped with understanding Bloom's taxonomy, depth of material, study strategies. So tutoring is really helpful for everybody, but certainly if you're a little bit further along in your coursework and now you're met with higher demands and trying to navigate pulling information from previous coursework into your current coursework, our tutors can help support that. Our help hubs too, if you're noticing that maybe you just need to brush up on some information, maybe you're realizing that it's important to brush up on the unit circle, you can head in and have some questions in the help hub related to that, or perhaps in your tutoring as well, in order to help guide you with the current material that maybe once you're brushed up on some of that prerequisite knowledge and feel like your foundation is a bit more solid, the other material that builds is going to have a lot more of like a sticking or landing points.
Yeah, that's some good information there. You know, one of the things that we talk to parents about in during slow days is that a lot of our students coming into Cal Poly, right, that are very high achieving. And so some of them are stepping into a quarter system that can be very fast. And sophomore standing, maybe they came from semesters transferring in. But there is a rigor that it can be difficult to adjust to. So that's what you're talking about there, how the Teaching and Learning Center can help with that adjustment really into
Absolutely.
learning how to Cal Poly, right?
Absolutely. It's very much a case, and that's why our Tutoring and Learning Center, between our tutors, supplemental instruction, supplemental workshop, and study session plus coaching, we have a team and a wonderful front desk assistants who serve as that triage and support and guidance. We have about 200 student employees who are working in our office, and I do a lot of the slow days as well, and with tabling. Something that I aim to remind students is that we would absolutely not have 200 student employees if we didn't know the value of having our 200 student employees. And we have booked tutoring appointments and robust study session and workshops. So it's really reimagining our tutoring and learning support as a high impact learning practice and not for students who are high achieving struggling. We can have moments where we feel like we're struggling and that a little bit, are we going to be underwater with this? But really, our tutoring and learning resources are aimed to help quell that and to help reduce it if a student does notice that that's happening. because that's part of the college and learning journey as well. Students are going through a new process, and with new comes opportunities for growth and challenge, and we're here to help navigate those growths and challenges.
Great, thanks, Lydia. Okay, third question here. My student is struggling in an upper division math class. How will he find support in the Tutoring and Learning Center if his specific class is not covered?
Yes, so that's another fantastic question. Our tutoring services span all 6 colleges. If there happens to be a class, particularly in this example, a math class that's not covered, what I do recommend is visiting our Math and Stats Help Hub. We have our upper division math and stats peer leaders, many of whom are also in graduate programs, so they've satisfied a span of math classes. They can generally help with individual questions or help guide when it comes to concept and concept awareness, concept understanding, and concept growth. If there happens to be further support that's needed, and in this, for this case, it's an upper division math class, so those aren't serviced by supplemental workshops or study sessions. If the Help Hub isn't servicing as much and there's specifically is not a class that's listed, our tutor coordinator can connect with tutors to see if that is a class that a tutor is satisfied, and maybe it's just not on their list, or one that's generally popped up to be a class that has, immediacy of coverage based upon how many students are enrolled and etc. There's a lot of different metrics and fashions, but our tutor coordinator can connect with their tutors to see who has the requisite knowledge and who's available to provide support. And if there needs to be further conversations, that's a wonderful time to always connect with our tutor coordinator to see what can be done in that timely fashion. I think at the end of the day, we're operating our best with our student employee schedules and availabilities. And if a student user doesn't see something available, it doesn't mean that it's never going to be available. So if you don't see something at first, reach out, let us know. We can be the most helpful support when we know what challenge is taking place and help and guide a student to navigate finding that solution.
All right. Fourth and final question here. Oh, this is a good one. My student is really good at science. How can he sign up to become a tutor?
Yes. So what I do want to encourage is, this is such a great place to work, and there is this sense of feeling really our peer leaders and our peer tutors feel really proud that they have a space where they can give back to their Cal Poly community and meet peers and be part of their learning and growing journey, because many of them know exactly how important that was for their own development, and they love being able to provide back to our department and to the campus at large. Before I share how, I also want to include students where it's not just the students who are, quote, really good at a subject. We're looking for students who are passionate about how they've grown through their understanding, what strategies they utilize, what challenges they overcame. There's so much learning and growth and inspiration that comes from our students where maybe they didn't initially see themselves in that class, or perhaps they came into Cal Poly and they mislabeled themselves as being bad at a topic. And perhaps by way of going through tutoring or peer encouragement, they actually saw themselves in that material. And a lot of times that also comes out in interviews. And so we're not just meeting the people who feel like they were naturally born to be good at a subject, but they have a really valuable growth mindset perspective, and they can emulate and discuss the challenges that they overcame in that content material and have strong empathy towards the challenges that students will navigate through this material, regardless of how strong or how concerned you are through navigating a topic. So we really encourage students who work hard through the material, learn so much through the material, and want to give back to apply. Our team is in the process of working on one application and navigating that, so it's going to be a lot more user friendly. We're in the process of getting everything finalized and gear up for our fall semester transition and hiring and bringing on new student employees for the fall semester. So keep an eye out for that. It will be on our website, and this should be on our website and ready to go by spring quarter.
Mhm. And Lydia, I just want to clarify really quick. You said employees, so these are paid positions on
Yes, they
campus.
are paid positions. They are paid, and they're also under Unit 11. So they're also unionized positions as well. We value the work that our peer employees do, and this is another high impact practice of having an on-campus position, a campus that we work with student schedules, understand their course and graduation demands, and yes, it's all paid positions.
Wow,
Mhm.
fantastic. We also during slow days talk to parents about if your student is, wants to find a job, even in their first year, second year, third year, fourth year, we do recommend looking around campus. We have a lot of
Yes.
jobs, and all departments have to adhere to academic schedule because we understand that their academic journey is the most important thing that they're doing here. And so on-campus jobs are something I really advocate for and advertise too during
Definitely.
open house and slow days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we start to wrap up here, I do have just a couple takeaway shares for our participants now and for our viewers later on too. One one recommendation that I have is to aim to use positive language around tutoring. I think oftentimes we get into the habit of, oh, did you do badly on a test? Okay, go to tutoring, as almost like it's a punishment, or, okay, well, now you must or have to do this. And again, of course, tutoring is there. If a student didn't do as well as they thought they were going to do on an exam, tutoring is a fantastic place to go to navigate. Was it a time management? Was it stress? Was it nerves? Test anxiety is a real thing. That's also a great place to dive in and to work again on the concepts. So there can be positives that come out of it, but it can feel very dreadful in that process or pursuit. So realizing that tutoring is a space to maximize your growth wherever your growth or development is. It's a way to utilize a resource on campus for success, and defining success however that looks for a student. If success is practicing the material, then that's success. If success is gaining a certain grade in the course, but success can also look like having a strong foundation, because this is really important for sequence courses, upper division courses, and this is one of many ways, but a really strong way to build in collaborative studying into the studying that we know that students need to do outside the classroom. And I also recommend to students who are shy of taking a spot from another student, maybe they think that a student needs it more, schedule that appointment, attend that study session. The more the merrier. And if we do have concerns with scheduling, we can reach out to a student, but we don't want that to be the barrier that concerns students to reach out. We want students to utilize our resources. Our resources are there for you, and we have lots of resources, and students are not capped at only using one resource. You can go to your help hub every day while also having a recurring tutoring appointment and regularly attending your workshops and study sessions. So you don't have to just choose one. You can find what works the best for you in your given quarter, and you can utilize as many are necessary in order to achieve your academic success.
Thanks for making those additions. So important to point out. So thank you again, Lydia, for sharing your insights and the incredible work you do with the Tutoring and Learning Center. It's really clear that the program plays a vital role in supporting our student success here at Cal Poly. As we wrap up, I want to remind everyone that the resources and guidance offered by the Tutoring and Learning Center are designed to help students thrive both academically and personally. If you have any further questions or need more information, please contact the Tutoring and Learning Center team. Thank you all for joining us today, and a special thanks again to Lydia for your time and expertise. And thank you, Marta and Deanne and the Parent Advisory Council for sponsoring the Lunch and Learn series for Mustang parents and supporters. Have a great day, folks.